Alright, Shalom. I'd like to say Kahalayim, Wahawadlah, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, double honors the apostles and elders of great millstone of rule well. Peace and blessing to the acrimony rule that pushes truth to the four corners of the earth. Right, it's brother Yarba. I said I'll touch on this video, article somebody sent to me. I think I saw it somewhere. It says lockdown. As lockdown hurts, desperate Venezuelans turn to cow blood soup. And people, Venezuela right now go feel the escalated version of it. Not only because of what's going on worldwide in terms of food, but naturally because Venezuela itself seeing an extra portion of hardship because of what's going on with it because of American sanctions, right? So even though it might have a limited supply, a less than usual supply of food circulating than it used to, because there's certain plants that closing down because they're non-essential and because a lot of the workers getting coronavirus and so forth. They have it even tougher because they're not able to trade with much people to be able to get resources. But at some point, all places would get exactly like this, because all of these things pertain to prophecy. You understand? Some will have it worse than others, as you're seeing with Venezuela. Some will have it worse than others, but all places will be affected by these things because it is prophecy, right? I'll go to that quick. It's Matthew 24. I'll start from 3, right? It says, and he said, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? So the disciples was asking this question. You say, what is the sign of thy coming? Which means that they understood that he had to return. Because it was asking him what is the sign of his coming, and he was already there. Then they had to be referring to when it is he was actually returning. And what is the end of the world? Right? Because the scriptures talk about that in 2nd Esdras, in the book of the Apocrypha, right? One of the books of the Apocrypha. It's 2nd Esdras 6, verse 9, right? I'll start from verse 8. 2nd Esdras 6, verse 8, it says, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of this world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. And that is the end of the world we're speaking about. Not actually the world blowing up and everybody dying, but the end of one rulership and the beginning of the other rulership. Right now we under Esau's rulership. So Esau is the end of the world. That end of the world refers to Esau's rulership. And it said Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it, which is the kingdom of heaven, which will be governed by who? Mashiach and the nation of Israel. Right? And that is really what they asking him. What is the sign of his coming and the end of the world? Right? And I'll jump down to verse 7, right, which is really the point of this video. It says, for nation shall rise against nation, which is a sign you're seeing right now, right? All these different examples they give before and now is different signs, right, of the end. And kingdom against kingdom, which is happening, and there shall be famines, which is what the topic is about, famine, and pestilence. You're seeing plagues, coronavirus, some other disease I see going around that the saying that is because of the coronavirus, some little children getting some kind of sickness, and earthquakes in diverse places, which is also one of the signs. All of these signs that they labeled out in Matthew 24, more or less all of them, we seeing them happening right now at the same time in just different places, and some in certain situations in the same place. You understand? Because America getting hit by earthquakes, they're getting hit by pestilence, they're getting hit by things like famine to an extent. You understand? And other countries, it will vary, in certain things. So we seeing all of these signs happening right now. Right? And these are the signs of the end. So people who want to think that, this place have a long time to go and they want things to get better so they could hold hands and sing Kumbaya, they're not down for what the Lord wants. Because even the disciples wanted to know what was the end so that the kingdom could begin. And some people doesn't understand that. In order for one kingdom to rise, one must fall. For the kingdom of heaven to be established, this kingdom must first be destroyed. So if you want the kingdom of heaven, that means you also have to want this place to be destroyed. They are not going to coexist side by side. The kingdom of heaven is not going to be built and it go share rulership with America. No. Right now America is the top and America has to go down. You understand? And then the kingdom will be established over everything else and govern and control everything else. Right? I say San Cristobal / Caracas routers. It says since Venezuela went into its coronavirus lockdown, dozens of needy people have been lining up at a slaughterhouse in the western town of San Cristobal to pick up the only protein they can find for free, cattle blood. Right? It says mechanic Alayer Romero 20 goes twice a week. They say he lost his job at a local garage and says boxes of subsidized food from the government of President Nicolas Maduro arrive too slowly. Because like I said, some reasons could just be because, you know, they have like favoritism towards certain districts, and then others could be because, you know, the kind of things that Venezuela had to go through because of the sanctions. Who knows? You know, it has nothing to do with me. They say, I have to find food however I can, said Romario, holding a coffee thermos dripping with blood the slaughterhouse gives away. Right? It said, though cow's blood is a traditional ingredient for pecan soup in the Venezuelan Andes and neighboring Colombia, they say more people have been seeking it out since the COVID-19 crisis. They say in a proudly coronavirus nation, they say few are happy about eating more blood instead of meat. They say a kilo of which costs about 2 times the monthly minimum wage. Increased consumption of cattle blood is like stripping mango trees. A striking symbol of hunger, as Venezuela's economy, already suffering 6 years of hyperinflationary implosion, and like I said, that because of the sanctions and so forth, has been nearly shuttered in response to the pandemic. Now I ain't gonna read the whole thing. That is more or less like the point. I'll play this video so you can get to hear the people.
The needy in Venezuela, now facing starvation under lockdown, are turning to one of the only forms of protein they can afford: cow blood. They're lining up at slaughterhouses to pick up their free ration, with 2 pounds of steak costing a staggering 2 times the monthly minimum wage. While cow's blood is a traditional ingredient for pichon soup in the Venezuelan Andes, more people are seeking it out amid the pandemic, cooking it into stews and eating it along with rice. The dire situation is giving Caracas mother Desiree Marquez a great deal of anxiety.
You're making breakfast and you think, what am I going to give them for lunch? You're making lunch and thinking about dinner. My God, what am I going to do for my kids later? I go to bed thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow. It's anguish. You don't...
And the funny thing is, she don't understand, even though they had a resort to eating cow's blood, you know, in certain situations, right now we still in the nice parts of the plagues. We just get in the, you know, like when somebody pregnant and they're like in the 2-month and 3-month phase, they're still in the nice phase compared to when they reach 8-9 months, or even worse, when the child starts to come out. That is when you just really see the pain. Right now, they still in the 2 or 3 month phase, and they don't even understand that. Why? Because they don't have the spiritual eyes to see the things that come into this place. It said things will get worse and worse and worse. You understand? It will get worse. Like the stories that you read back in 2 Kings, when it said when the women was debating on who child to eat today, and we go eat my child today and eat your child tomorrow. Right now, she not on the level where she contemplating which child to eat yet. So they still have it nice. But soon that time is going to come. And when that time does come, that is when it will be bad. You understand? I wouldn't read that story. I believe like 2 Kings 6 somewhere in 20 something. But that is when things will be bad. When it's not when you had to contemplate on what to feed your children. When you're contemplating on which child to eat today and which child to eat tomorrow, that is when you know it reach terrible level.
Sleep.
Though reported numbers of deaths and cases from the virus appear modest, with 440 cases and 10 deaths that critics say is inaccurate, Venezuelans are suffering from the shutdown and delays in the food distribution program that for years has been the most important food source for many. Critics call the food distribution program a social control mechanism that allows the government to limit dissidents and protest. The consumption of blood for protein is a striking symbol of hunger, as Venezuela's economy, now suffering 6 years of extreme hyperinflation, is further strained under lockdown. And with the virus and economic worries showing no near sign of abating, moms like Marquez continue to worry what they'll feed their kids next.
And people assume to themselves that things will get better. As I just tell people, when I was smaller, bread used to cost one price, and as I get older, it just keeps getting more expensive. So what make people think that things will get better? Things just only go forward and get worse. You understand? And with this damage that this coronavirus pandemic did, a lot of people who lost their jobs, they might never be how they used to be again. You understand? The economy might never be the way that it used to be again. And we know a lot of these things as be strategic. Why? Because we know, that they talk about plans to remove the middle class. They talk about plans pertaining to killing mass people and maintaining population under a certain level. And we seeing all these things happening to actually implement these things. Everybody who's smart knows nothing in life is a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. World War I wasn't a coincidence. World War II wasn't a coincidence. All these things don't happen by coincidence. If you even think about somebody in the morning time that you didn't see for years, and you walk down the road and you saw them, that is not a coincidence. You might view it that way, but nothing is a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. Right? Everything happens for a reason. And all of these things happening for a reason. Why? Because it's prophecy. The Lord putting it in the hearts of these elites to do these things. Even though some might say it's not people planning this, these things just happening. The Lord, the king's heart is in the hands of the Lord. The scripture tells us that. That is what I think Proverbs 21. Here, Proverbs 21 verse 1, it says the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. You understand? All of these things, the Lord put it in them to do. Why? Because these prophecies must be fulfilled. It must have pestilence. It must have hunger. You understand? All these different things. Even like when it comes to the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, is the Lord that putting it in their hearts to be able to push these agendas and to make everything to center around this chip. Why? Because it must end up in a way that no man could buy or sell without it. So the Lord putting it in the heart of all these elites, these heads of nations, to push towards that agenda, because that prophecy must be fulfilled. You understand? None of these things is a coincidence. Now I'm gonna go to the whole hunger part now. Like 2 Corinthians 15. I'll start from 56, right? 2 Corinthians 15. There's a book in the Apocrypha, right? Verse 56, it said, like as thou hast done unto my chosen, saith the Lord, even so shall the Most High do unto thee, right? And the Lord is taking vengeance for not only for Israel but for his elect, because it even have two-thirds of Israel who is paying for what they did to the prophets, what they did to the elect, and so forth too. So not just the other nations paying for what they did to us, but the two-thirds of Israel also have to pay for what it is they did. The scriptures talk about that in Matthew 23, I believe. It say, O Jerusalem, they that slay the prophets, they also have to pay for the things that they just do to the righteous, and for following the wicked. You understand? It say, like as thou hast done unto my chosen, saith the Lord, even so shall the Most High do unto thee, and shall deliver thee into mischief. It say, thy children shall die of hunger, and thou shalt fall through the sword. So that talk about people being slain and people dying of hunger. Right? It say, thy cities shall be broken down, and all thine shall perish with the sword in the field. It say, they that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood. And that refers to what? Like devouring your own children. You understand? Like people who don't run away. Like, for example, the scriptures talk about invading each other's houses, and man turning up, man going against another man with a sword and so forth. So let me say, if things were to go like haywire, like what you'll see like in the Book of Eli or one of the movies, you're in a particular town, you know, things so chaotic, everybody just going crazy because they have nothing to eat, no police not trying to help you. So you have to leave there. You might take your children, you might run up in the bushes somewhere to try to be somewhere safe with them. But if the Lord not with you, you won't get nothing to eat. And after 3 days of not eating, you might be sitting down and watching little Jillian and thinking, Jillian, when have we had a living? You understand? You might be watching Jillian like a hot dog. You understand? And the Lord will put spirits on you to watch them like that. Why? Because the prophecy must be fulfilled. Just like how the scriptures say, you will eat your own flesh and drink your own blood. There are people who are ordained to fulfill these prophecies. So there are people who will eat their own children because of starvation. We can't say who they are, but there are people that these things will happen to, because all of these prophecies must be fulfilled. You understand? That is why it's had to do the will of the Lord and try to be how you're supposed to be, so that you'll be able to escape these perils, that you wouldn't have to go through these things. Right? It said, they that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood. For very hunger of bread and thirst of water, because the Lord will be providing anything for you. He say what? I'll read that after. I'll read the reason why after. It say, thou as unhappy shall come through the sea and receive the plagues again. That goes back to what? Like, say for example, if you're trying to run from one place, like you are people who in Venezuela, they're gonna be seeing the calamities and they will do all kind of things, jump on a boat, pay a man the last dollar just to go to our next country and see if they could get some kind of peace in that next country. But you cannot escape the destruction of the Lord. You understand? It just like it's saying Amos. It say like a man flee from a lion and a bear met him. No matter where you go, the destruction of the Lord will be in every place. It might vary how much in different places, but the destruction of the Lord will be in every place. And if the Lord has ordained destruction for you, you cannot escape it. That is why you had to be doing the things of the Lord in hope that you'll be able to evade these things. How's going, girl? How's going, girl? Please have slipped my mind and I still like here. Still like here, please have slipped my mind. Alright. So let us show you how serious this destruction is. And you see these famines, these pestilences, all these different things happening around the world. A lot of it not being shown by mainstream media. but it have alternative news that you could watch, and you're seeing a lot of disasters going on around the world, sometimes on a daily basis. But the world is so vast. If something happened in Africa, in a small city in Africa, and the next thing happening in Dubai, you wouldn't be able to keep track of everything, especially if it's not being shown on mainstream news like CSN or whatever. That is when you had to look to alternative news. And when you look to alternative news, you've seen a lot of things, a lot of prophecies being fulfilled all over the world. Like I say, sometimes on a daily basis. But famine is something serious. Even with the pestilence of the grasshoppers, you was seeing that in certain countries they're eating other crops. Certain people going through serious hardship because of that. It is affecting a lot of people. And like I said, we're still in the early stages, so these things will get worse. Anyway, I hope it's edifying. I'll try to make it too long. With that, I say shalom, stay strong.